Hello, good evening and welcome to Iron Pod here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Pod is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services MPS. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA. Our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. And so all you have to do is grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. Indeed, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are streaming live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are live at Eye on Port. My name is Kennedy Mona. We shall be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177. And at the appropriate time, when I pick signals from the production team that the time is ripe, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. We are going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Every now and again, GOEL makes good things happen. This time, GOEL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOEL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOEL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOEL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOEL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOEL has that sorted. GOEL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water. Or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And in the course of the week, the Transport Sector Working Group met to update themselves on happenings in the port and shipping industry. And this was done at the second floor of the GPHA Towers in Tema. Plus the fact that the port of Takoradi has also extended a helping hand to some of the privileged groups in the society in the area. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
The Transport Sector Working Group has recently met at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority's headquarters to be brought up to speed with developments in the sector. The working group, which is under the instruction of the Ministry of Finance, is made up of members from the Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Roads and Highways, and the Ministry of Railway Development. They were briefed by the director of the Port of Keta project, Dr. Alexander Yaweduse, who emphasized that management of GPHA is working assiduously to ensure that careful strategic processes are followed to ensure the successful completion of the port project.
So we will plan again, we will plan better, and ensure that once you start doing bricks and mortar, you are on solid ground. We are doing EIA. Without the EIA, feasibility means nothing. So the EIA, we pray central tender will approve quickly for us, and then we can complete within 5 to 6 months, hopefully. The 2 documents allow an investor to be serious. In the meantime, the ministry has directed us to engage interested parties who would like to invest in.
The Transport Sector Working Group was also updated on activities being undertaken by the Ministry of Roads and Highways to ensure effective axle load control and monitoring on the country's road corridors.
We do periodic reshuffling of staff. We have started piloting of installation of cameras that we monitor from the station. Then we trying to have a standardized weighing software, periodic calibration of weighing equipment, and as you see, organized education and sensitization program for the staff and stakeholders.
The director in charge of policy planning, monitoring and evaluation at the Ministry of Transport, Irene Mesiba, who chaired the meeting, gave her remarks.
One thing that we also linked, which is very critical to the project, is the project has been grouped in clusters. So not everything will be done by one investor. So once an investor comes, you look at the packages and then you can select a package of your choice and then you put your resources within that package.
It has been a yearly tradition of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority staff and management of the Port of Takoradi to give back to selected underprivileged members of the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis to enhance their livelihoods. This year, one of such beneficiaries of the corporate social responsibility of the port is the Twin City Special School for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The port donated foodstuff, water, stationery items, and toiletries that are expected to come in handy in the new academic year.
It's just the usual thing that we always come at the end of the year to support the school. So this is the message we are also bringing from the Port of Takoradi.
We say very big thank you to you. We really appreciate whatever you are doing for us. We know you are our friends, whether we ask or not. We don't ask, but you always come.
In a related development, the Port Medical Workers Association of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Hospital has extended help to the secondary school of the deaf to support the needs of these children.
We are grateful to the whole department of Gapoha. You could have sent it to a different place, but you chose SecDev to come and donate to us. We are so much grateful to the hospital for giving us this donation. It will be used for the purpose of which you have donated to the school.
GPHA hospital offers specialist services like obstetrician, gynecology consults. We also have general surgery specialists with us. We also have scan services, ultrasound abdominal ultrasound, gynecological ultrasound, obstetric ultrasound, and very soon we'll be introducing the service of the CT scan and other services. We have eye services now, and so we want to encourage the public to utilize the services that we have. We are very soon going to run a 24-hour service for pharmacy, and we'll very soon also add on other services that will come on board, and of course we'll let you know as and when.
All right, so those were some happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. It's now time for us to go global and see what's happening on the world stage as far as this industry is concerned.
The Port of Rotterdam has seen a number of investments in energy transition projects in 2022, worth a total of approximately 3 billion euros. Some of these projects include investment in a major biorefinery and Europe's largest green hydrogen plant. In July 2022, subsidiaries of Shell took the final investment decision to build Holland Hydrogen 1, which will be Europe's largest renewable hydrogen plant. The 200-megawatt electrolyzer will be constructed on the Tweed Maxvlaat in the Port of Rotterdam and will produce up to 60,000 kilograms of renewable hydrogen per day. The renewable power for the electrolyzer will come from the offshore wind farm Hollandse Kust, which is partly owned by Shell. Holland Hydrogen 1 is expected to be operational in 2025. India's Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways has revealed its plans to increase the share of renewable energy to 60%. Under the Green Shipping Initiative, major ports have implemented and initiated various activities that would help in reducing greenhouse gas emissions from the ports and shipping sector. Activities included shore-to-ship power, the use and promotion of electrically powered port equipment, the use of alternative fuels like liquefied natural gas, compressed natural gas, storage and bunkering facilities for environmentally friendly fuels like liquefied natural gas, compressed natural gas, hydrogen, ammonia, among others. The transition towards renewable sources of energy, including solar power, wind power, and tidal power, have already been initiated at many of the major ports of the country. Now, the ministry is planning to increase the use of renewables to 60% of the total power demand of each of its major ports from a present share of less than 10%. A conro vessel is a type of ro-ro vessel which carry containers not only on trailers but also on cellular guides on the weather deck, with these containers being loaded by gear over the rails and not by trucks using the vessel ramps.
All right, so we're zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we're taking a look at how to promote local capacity to mitigate the impact of the foreign fishing vessels in the Gulf of Guinea. Promoting local capacity to mitigate the impact of foreign fishing vessels in the Gulf of Guinea. And this topic came on the back of a program launched by the Center for Maritime Law and Security out at SEMLOS Africa in the course of last week. And so we're going to be discussing this particular topic with a representative from SEMLOS Africa and then another person from the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association. We're going to be taking a look at what is actually happening as far as foreign fishing vessels are concerned and as far as their works and activities in the Gulf of Guinea is concerned and how that is impacting economies within the sub-region. And so it gives me pleasure this evening to introduce to you Dr. Rebecca Chewa-Esamwa, who is a Senior Research Officer at SEMLOS Africa. Good evening, Doc, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Kennedy, for having me. Actually, It feels great to be back on your set.
Absolutely. This is your second time, right?
Yes, this is my second time.
So let me say Happy New Year. This is your first in the year,
yes,
2023.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I convey the greetings of Dr. Kamaldeen Ali and the team.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much indeed. We're grateful. Yes, and let me also welcome to the studios Mr. Gilbert Sam, who is Office Manager of the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association. Good evening and welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all your viewers.
Yes.
And good evening to my directors and members of the association and also other sisters associations.
Right.
I'm talking about the Tuna Association.
Right.
The Inshore Fishers.
Yeah.
The Canoe Council and Inland Council. They are all members of sister association, and we all belong to NAFAC, that is the National Fisheries Association of Ghana.
Right.
So we are fishers And also, I would like to also extend my greetings to the Fish Processors Association. They are also part of the fishing industry.
Right.
And let me also extend the same greetings to the managers and regulators of the industry, particularly the Minister, Honorable Hawa Kunsi, and then Honorable Moses Enim, who is the Deputy Minister, and all those who are helping to make this industry a good one and sustainable one as well. Thank you too for having me here.
Thank you very much indeed. And I'm sure they are watching, so they've heard you loud and clear. It's a good bedtime. So let me come to you, Doc. I want to start with you and just find out from you what this particular project is about, promoting local capacity to address the destabilizing impacts of foreign fishing vessels in the Gulf of Guinea. This was a project that you launched with some of your partners. Can you tell us about it?
Okay, thank you very much, Kennedy. So this project is a 3-year project funded by the U.S. Department of State through the U.S. Embassy in Accra. It runs from October 1, 2022 to September 2024. Now, the project was awarded to SEMLAWS Africa and the Center for Coastal Management, University of Cape Coast, and as partners to ensure that the objectives of the project are realized. Now, the first objective of the project, which is to increase transparency to ensure that public is informed to help improve the political will to control the impact of distant water fishing vessels in the Gulf of Guinea. Then the second objective, which is to improve monitoring, surveillance, and control, and also enforcement capabilities, both on the local and regional scales, to ensure that information that is needed is shared and on time, reliable information for that matter. And then the third objective is focus on the industry, taking over the industry on a local and regional scale. Of course, the project, because it's being handled by both the SEMLAWS Africa and CCM University of Ghana, is led by Professor Aheto of CCM and, of course, by Dr. Kamaldeen of SEMLAWS Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to find out from you how it panned out in your estimation. What was your assessment of the whole event as you launched this particular project on the day?
Yes, so the launch that, well, just like you mentioned on the February 16th, the launch was a hybrid one, but mainly virtual. We had a few invited guests over at the Center for Maritime Law and Security Africa. And the virtual event with over 90 participants ensured that more highlights were given to the project. Being a project that was having focus in 7 countries. We are talking about Benin, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Mauritania, Senegal, and Sierra Leone.
Right.
So looking at the fact that these 7 countries are good representatives of the Gulf of Guinea, in the fact that they have common issues when it comes to fisheries, particularly in the industrial sector, and issues of governance, there was a need to spearhead, starting off with that project launch, to ensure that we had the needed visibility, both by media and all CSOs and other government agencies that should be involved. Of course, the turnout was great, and we had very good representation when you look at the type of speakers, the caliber of speakers that we had on board that day. And I'm happy you were able to make it that day.
Yeah, sure. And would you run us through some of the speakers that came through?
Sure. So we had Sven Bierman. Sven Bierman is FITI's boss in Seychelles.
Right.
And he spoke largely about why transparency is a key tool when it comes to fisheries management.
Right.
And then we had Professor Rashid. Professor Rashid Sumaila also spoke about how making it very inclusive when you come to fisheries management, ensuring that all stakeholders were on board and ensuring that it was a sustainable venture.
And he came from where?
All right. He is based in British Columbia.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then we had, of course, we had a representation from our government, Fisheries Commission.
Yes.
And then, of course, I gave a presentation to
Absolutely.
help provide an overview on the project.
Yes.
And then we had some interventions from media within the space. We had someone from Mauritania, certainly someone also from Senegal, because of the issues that have been raised in both countries.
Yeah.
And we still had some interventions every now and then because the role that fisheries play is such a pivotal one, and you could have a broad spectrum of experts and everyone's indication that indeed the project was a timely one.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I will come back to you. And when I come back to you, I want you to give us, to draw the dichotomy or the distinctive rules between Center for Maritime Law and Security, SEMLAWS, and then the Center for Coastal Management, UCC, as far as this project is concerned, what each and every one of you is supposed to be doing to ensure the successful rollout of this particular project. And so let me come to you, Mr. Sam. You were also at the event on that particular day. I just want to find out from you what your assessment of the event is. How did it go for you?
Well, I would say it was very successful. And I would say that when you look at the project objectives and the activities that were outlined, and because it borders on industrial fishing, and we are fishers, we were very much interested in that. Okay. And not just that, the fact that the project is being led by Ghanaian organization also gave us a lot of confidence.
Right.
Because when you look at the literature, and most of the stories around industrial fishing, particularly along West Africa and Ghana in particular, you realize that the authors are not Ghanaians.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association, we have the feeling that we are targeted, we are marginalized. And because we work with other foreign partners, so we have that impression. And sometimes this publication do not go down well for our businesses. In fact, such publications are reducing investor confidence in the industry. So we thought that if we are having our own who are leading this process, then of course we will have a fair report. We have a report that will be confident that the authors really want to address whatever problem that exists. Besides that, this is a project that involves many countries.
Right.
And for us, I quite remember 2022, when we were looking at the issue of fishing license fee with the managers and the regulators, we went to as far as the presidency, and we needed to make a case. So we needed to compare fishing license fee happening in other countries. So if we are having a project like this, there's a research company that will bring about such information. It helps us in making good decisions, because you can get information, and you know information is good for decision making.
Right.
And fisheries, you need data to make decision.
Right.
So we are happy this project is coming on. We hope to see them involve us, not like other projects that will marginalize us before we see there's a publication out there and we have not been consulted. So we are happy, and we are hoping that we'll be involved this time. And we are hoping that we'll open our books, we'll give information so that we will all improve or make the industry a sustainable one for everybody.
Does the organization, that's the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association, actually admit that we have destabilizing impacts, in the Gulf of Guinea following activities of foreign fishing vessels?
Before I answer that question, I need to make a distinction here. We are local industrial or semi-industrial vessels. We are not foreign fishing vessels.
Right.
However, we all operate in the same EEZ. That is the exclusive economic zone. And globally, it has been accepted that when it comes to fishing, and it comes to trawl fishing, and particularly bottom trawl fishing, it is destructive. It is destructive. It is something that is not debatable. However, the way you go around doing it, because you are virtually trawling at the bottom of the sea.
Right.
You are talking about the seabed. So definitely you are sweeping the seabed.
Yeah.
So bottom trawling globally is becoming something that is raising a lot of questions. However, if you are fishing and you are not being properly monitored and controlled, of course, fishers will often use unapproved gears. They may do certain things that may not that may cause some impact. And we can call it, I don't know whether to use destabilizing or not. But definitely they may have negative impact when it comes to using wrong gears. But on board our vessels, we have monitoring system, we have observers on board, we have AIS, VMS, they are all monitoring tools. However, you cannot trust the fishes. You cannot trust fishes. There are certain things that we do, and normally it's called IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say the industry is perfect. That is why we welcome such a study. That is why we want to support this project, so that at least if we cannot eradicate, we minimize IUU fishing to the barest minimum. Because for us as fishers, our main livelihood depends on the fish.
Right.
So if we don't fish in a responsible manner, there will not be fish and there will not be business. I recall that recently the Fisheries Commission, the ministry have introduced a number of measures all aimed at ensuring that the fishes are managed in a sustainable manner. Right. We have a gear directive, we have observers on board. Quite recently, they are trying to even introduce cameras to monitor all the happenings on board the vessel, with the aim of reducing some of the negative things that happen at sea. So there is a lot of effort, and I want to commend the ministry, I want to commend the Fisheries Commission for all this initiative, and also commend industry, particularly the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association, for embracing this change. Because change is a process, and people must embrace it before the change will happen. Because if you impose it, then you will not be successful. So the trawlers or the fishers have embraced the change, including observing the close season. And we have observed close season since 2016 to date.
Right.
So you can see the willingness, the cooperation, the collaboration between the managers and regulators and the industry. For this, in our case, the industrial trawlers, all geared towards helping in the sustainable management of the resource. We want to continue working. We don't want to be out of business. And we can only work when we have fish in the sea. That is why, for a long time, we have also been advocating, even though we have had assurances from the minister that a research vessel will be procured.
Research vessel?
Yes, research vessel.
That's been a long-standing issue, a long-standing one,
Research vessel will be procured to help us to know whether the effort, the vessels are many as compared to the resources, so that we can properly align effort with the resource. So it is something that is ongoing. In the past, it was not there, the change was not there. People were doing whatever they want, but now I can assure you there is a lot of change, and and I think it's good for the industry.
Okay, you mentioned that some of the issues, some of the things that happened, perhaps as a result of the fact that people are not being monitored, or activities of the vessels are not being monitored. Is that an admission or an allusion that yes, some of your members engage in some of these illegal acts?
Well, you see, when it comes to fishing, for instance, the waters is divided. We have the IEZ, and per law, these industrial vessels are not supposed to work there.
Right.
So you need to constantly monitor them.
Right.
Sometimes it may not be deliberately. Sometimes they are.
They may wander into waters that
sometimes
they're not supposed to go
they
into.
may even be passing. And there are a lot of perceptions about the demarcation when it comes to the IEZ.
Right.
Some, per the law, you are either supposed to do 30-meter depth or 6 nautical miles.
Right.
Depending on which one is farther from the coast.
Yes.
And sometimes your 30-meter, you can be very close, but still in 30-meter depth, and you may not be doing anything untoward per the law.
Right.
But you see the ordinary man with the ordinary eyes, not with the technical eye, saying that you are straying into the IEZ.
Right.
That is the inshore exclusive zone. These are things that happen. But I can say for a fact that for about almost 2 years, none of the vessels have been arrested or have been seen going to the IEZ doing illegal activity there.
Yes.
Besides that, when you go fishing, we are commercial fishers, and you want to have the high value fish because that is what gives you more money.
Yes.
You cast your net, and then sometimes you get bycatch which are of low value.
Right.
The question is that per the law, and that is sometimes the contradiction that we have in the law. If you bring it to port, you have a problem for bringing juvenile fish.
If you throw it back into the sea.
If you throw it back into the sea, you have a problem. But then one is more punitive than the other.
If I happen to be in the vessel, I say, let's cook it and eat. That's on the lighter side.
One is more punitive than the other.
Yeah.
So sometimes you see people doing dumping and all those. And once you dump fish into the sea, it has environmental consequences.
Yes.
And it affects other fishes
Absolutely.
or marine mammals.
Right.
So sometimes it happens. But that is why the managers and regulators have on board observers.
Right.
Once an infraction like this is committed, then you come to port, you are processed to court, and then go through the fine process.
Right.
So with the industrial or Ghanaian flag vessel, it is easy for you to monitor.
Right.
But when it comes to foreign fishing vessels,
yes,
those are areas that it is very difficult because you may not even have a Ghanaian on board the vessel.
Right.
And these vessels are very huge. Sometimes they go beyond the 200 nautical miles into high seas, and they are all operating. So if the regulator do not have the capacity in terms of vessel to go there to check all these things, that is where sometimes these, if you like, destabilizing activities occur.
Yeah.
But in the case of local industrial fishing vessels, semi-fishing vessels, they are observers there, they are Ghanaian flag, and they are, by law, they are supposed to bring all their landings or catches to port. So you have access to them, you have your observer there reporting.
Okay.
But it is a human institution, so I dare say that sometimes observers can be compromised.
Right.
So when they are compromised, then some of these things are likely to happen.
Good.
But in many cases, you get these infractions being reported,
Right.
and then the corporate or the vessel that is involved is also fined or sanctioned.
All right.
So that's how it happens.
Okay, so you mentioned that there are monitoring systems in place. I would want to come and find out what these monitoring systems are. You also mentioned the observers, which you rightly ended with, and I want to find out what makes the composition of these observers. But let me come to you. You also mentioned two words that I will need some education on. That's exclusive economic zone and inshore economic zone. I want to know the difference between the two. I'll come to you, but let me go to Doc right now. I said I was coming to ask you what distinct roles CEMLAW, Center for Maritime Law and Security Africa, CEMLAW Africa is supposed to play, and what role Center for Coastal Management, UCC, is also supposed to play, since you are the two that have been entrusted with this responsibility of carrying out this particular project.
Certainly. So CEMLAW Africa, actually both centers have well-versed researchers.
Right.
And have a broad network of experts that they sometimes will bring on board depending on the subject and the question.
Right.
So CEMLAW Africa and CCM have an MOU, and it enjoins both of them, of the centers, to share knowledge, support each other depending on the project that is at hand.
Yes.
And to ensure that there's effective realization of whichever objectives that are under question. So you'd realize that both centers have researchers, all right, and have community scientists who are good with community work. So there are smaller groups that have been formed from the working, we call both teams the working team.
Yes.
You have smaller groups that have been couched out depending on the activity and per country. Certainly, there's an autonomous monitoring and evaluation team that would work not depending on the type of activity, could be from the Center for Maritime Law or from CCM. So that is how the working, that is how we have the working group functioning at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have a particular, organization that's funding this particular project.
Yes.
Can you tell us about them?
Yes, the U.S. Department of State.
State, okay.
And so the U.S. Embassy in Accra is playing that role of coordinating among the 7 countries that I mentioned.
Right.
And also, as funding agency, they have already had grounds when it comes to work in security, in ensuring that there's capacity building. And so it's easy for us to work hand in hand with the embassy because we have been given at least 2 or 3 representatives that are very, very involved when it comes to ensuring that the objectives of the project and particularly the timelines are met. That is the role that the U.S. Embassy plays.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mind sharing with us how much is involved, or you don't want to share with us? I understand it's some $30 million.
Actually, no. It's
That's
about
just on the lighter side.
$950,000 USD.
Dollars.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sure.
$950,000
How long is it supposed to run for?
So it's running for 3 years, but there's an active 2-year period where most of the activities are concentrated to ensure that you can have that 1 year to disseminate and also to have feedback from stakeholders.
Okay, I think in 2002 there was this project that's called Enhancing Transparency in the Fisheries Sector Project, which was launched in March 2002. How related or linked are they? Is that particular one with this particular latest one that you've launched?
Yes, so that project is still ongoing and is a Vibrant Oceans Initiative project, also funded by the U.S. Bloomberg Philanthropies. Now, that project is a study-based project, trying to uncover the bottlenecks when it comes to the institutional and governance frameworks. And if you'd remember the last time we were on your set, the project focuses on both artisanal and industrial sectors.
Right.
So that's the difference. Apart from that, trying to improve transparency and accountability, the DWFV project, which is what we are discussing today, is focused mainly on the industrial sector and is an activity-based. Yeah.
It's activity-based. Okay, so I just want to find out from you, with this latest project that you launched last week, before you get neck deep into it, can you bring us up to speed with some of the preliminary findings that you have, come up with?
Interestingly enough, the DWFV project that you just spoke about is looking to build on the experiences that we've gathered over the years. It's not looking to reinvent the wheel. So one of the work packages of this project is to have strategic engagement to ensure greater impact. Now, we talk about strategic engagement looking at local, national, and regional scales. We have groups that have already started some work in various fields when it comes to the objectives of the projects, whether it's to improve the industry, whether it's to improve governance, whether it's to improve information sharing. So we seek to leverage on these efforts and success that has already been built over the years with these groups, and then to ensure that we are building on them and to avoid duplication. Yes, that's what we seek to do.
Okay. All right. Let me come to Mr. Sam and find out from you. First of all, I want you to tell us some of the monitoring systems that have been put in place to guide the operations as you go about them. And then you also tell us the composition of the observer group that's always on board your vessels.
Well, I did mention the AIS, that is the automatic identification system.
Okay,
and
automatic identification system, AIS, okay.
And then I also mentioned the VMS, that is vessel monitoring system. They are all transponders, and they are on board the vessel. They are inbuilt, the AIS is inbuilt, they are all part of the vessel, and they tell you the vessel positions.
Okay.
So you have another facility onshore, which is located at the office of the commission, and they have a way that they communicate with the vessel.
At the Fisheries Commission?
Yes, at the Fisheries Commission. Okay. They have a way they communicate with the vessel to see whether the vessel, their position, where they are, whether they are straining into the IEZ. In fact, they help them to gather evidence or data, so that when an infraction is committed, you need to have evidence, because it becomes a subject of, it's a case that has to be prosecuted.
Yes.
And if you don't have enough evidence, you cannot say somebody has committed an infraction. So they gather all this data, and it helps them. Besides the managers and regulators, it also helps the vessel owner to also know where the vessels are. Communicate with people on the vessel, because you have crew on board the vessel, and you, the owner of the ship, you are responsible for the people you have put on board. So occasionally you want to know what is happening, where they are, whether they are getting good catch and all those things. So it's a way that helps people onshore to also communicate with the vessel. So they are also called transponders, and they help them with communication.
Yes.
Besides that is the observer program, and it's something that the Fisheries Commission has added. Before 2017, we didn't have observers on board the vessel. So there was no physical presence, because these are officers who are also on board the vessel, observing whatever is going on and documenting. In fact, they have cameras, they are taking pictures, they are also gathering evidence, so that in the event that a vessel commits an infraction, they will show the evidence when it comes to either settling the case or going to court or prosecuting the vessel. So these are very critical, and these are all ways of ensuring that all the activities that impact negatively on the marine environment is reduced to the barest minimum. Something like damping, something like, even on board the vessel.
Are the observers coming from the Fisheries Commission?
Yes, they are officers of the Fisheries Commission.
How many are they mostly?
They are on board all the vessels. It's a program.
Is it one person each?
One person
per vessel.
Per a trip. Anytime the vessel is sailing, they are there. And they are very important element when it comes to fisheries management and enforcement. Beyond the observers, they also have the Navy, who also go who are also at sea monitoring activities of these vessels. So there's a lot of checks.
Yeah.
It is not like they have been left on their own and doing illegal things, as sometimes is being, if you like, is being spread.
Yeah.
And this is a good opportunity to dispel some of these negative things and then recommend all of us, including the managers and regulators, that they are doing a lot to ensure that the marine space is safe, to ensure that the fish are being harvested in a sustainable manner, to ensure that the fish are not being harvested in a manner that will deplete the stock. So these are measures that are in place. So we are a highly regulated sector.
Right.
We are a highly regulated sector. Besides the Fisheries Commission is Ghana Maritime Authority. We're also looking at the vessel condition, the working condition of the sailors on board, the vessel. So there's a lot of monitoring. If I tell you the number of institutions that have oversight over the sector, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. GRA is there, Custom is there, GPH is there, the Fisheries Commission is there, the Ghana Maritime Authority is there. A lot of institutions all having oversight over our activity. So you cannot just be there and doing anything that you want. It is being controlled and monitored. And once you are culpable, you'll be fined. Sometimes the fines are very huge. It ranges between $1 million and $4 million.
Right.
If you are fined guilty of any IUU infraction,
Right.
that is how much you can pay. And you can understand.
Do they really pay?
Yes, they do. They do. Once you are fined, the evidence are there, and there's a tall list of fines that have been paid to the commission.
Okay.
So once you are guilty, you cannot escape.
So once the fellow pays the fine, the money goes to the Fisheries Commission?
Yes, there is a development fund by the law that all fines are supposed to be lodged into. And then they are used for the development of the fisheries sector.
It's unfortunate we were supposed to have a representative from the Fisheries Commission on this show, but I think that
that is an area that we have been asking the ministry and the commission that use some of our fines.
You want to eat some of the money?
Yes, you see, I recall at the launch where Professor Smiler made this statement, and I want to quote him. He said, "Put your money where your mouth is."
Yeah.
So if we indeed recognize that the marine environment is where our mouth is, then we must invest into it. And we are saying that we need a research vessel. We need a research vessel to tell us the stocks, the stocks level, do proper stock assessment, tell us the stocks level, so that we can properly align effort and the stock. I recall the last time we had a research was from the Fridtjof Nansen, and it was 2019. Most of data are being collected, analyzed, and reports are written, but they are all based on extrapolation. And you see, this is a business that people are investing money. If you can imagine the cost of a vessel. So if you are investing money into a sector, you need to have proper data. Because you need to manage risk. You cannot go and buy a vessel about $10 million and then you bring it, sell it, bring it here, and then you cannot even work for 2 years. How do you pay for all this cost? Remember that before a vessel is built, somebody has paid for. So the cost has been expended already.
Right.
So you need to make money out of it. So you need data. You need data. And such a venture, if you don't have adequate data telling you that you have a stock that can last for maybe 20 years, 40 years, it's difficult for people to invest there. That is why sometimes this ownership, this people coming in with investment is very, very difficult. I'm sure that the project tried to touch on that area where locals can own their own vessels and then operate their own vessels. So we need data.
Right.
And I'm using this platform to further appeal to the minister, even though I'm aware some boats, patrol boats have been acquired, all geared towards monitoring, control, and surveillance, and then enforcement. However, we also need data on the stocks level,
right,
so that we can also make informed decision on the number of vessels that should come in, or capping the vessels or not. So we need data.
So your call is for government to speed up with the acquisition of
yes, but you rightly said, Ken, that it has taken too long.
Yeah, it's been a long-standing one.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yes. All right. So let me come to you, Doc, and then find out. You gave us one of the findings preliminary though. I just want to find out from you whether these findings are common in all the 7 regions that you are carrying out this study, or each country has a peculiar situation.
Well, there are some common issues that run through. Of course, it's a shared resource, so you can understand why there are common issues that run through. However, there are unique issues as well. For instance, if you pick that first objective, that is to improve public transparency of information, to help garner the political will that is needed to control the activities of these distant water fishing vessels. Public here is media, CSOs, and the community. Okay. So it's targeted at the media, reportage, and coverage, and it's targeted at CSOs awareness creation, community awareness creation.
Right.
So the issues are different in the focal countries. When it comes to media, take for instance media, and I'm just dwelling on media because of experience gained from the VOI project. The voice of the media is different in each of these countries.
Okay.
The strength, and therefore the ability to help change a situation when it comes to the fisheries sector. There's so much to be learned also from other countries. Mauritania, for instance, has already joined the Fisheries Transparency Initiative because of their willingness to make public information. Information that from the FITI standards ensures that this is made public and therefore can inform decision making. So first and foremost, Mauritania therefore would stand out as a good example to help us improve making information available, helping research, to channel research in the right places. So there are peculiar situations with each of the countries, and that is why they have been selected the way they have been to represent the Gulf of Guinea. And therefore, lessons that have been learned will be adopted in the other countries.
Now, what have you been able to gauge the level of enthusiasm or proactiveness of the other countries in terms of carrying out this project, and to ensure that you are on an even keel, so that one does not seem to realize some dividends of positivity, and the other, reeling under and not able to come up to speed or scratch with the others, so that there can be a level playing field to ensure that the impact is actually felt across board?
Yes. So when it comes to the activities, it's not the same activities across board.
Okay.
Per the need, because there's a needs assessment that has been conducted. Per the need of the country, the activities have been couched in similar formats.
Right.
And so when it comes to enthusiasm, right from the start, where we had all the 7 embassies personnel spearheading that information session, and therefore giving recommendations of who they believe are good CSOs, are good groups to start working with because of work that has been done already in the field. You realize that it's not a project that is going to be left to just go past like any other project. So there has been a lot of encouragement also from our CSOs here in Ghana, and then partner groups that we've already worked with in some of the countries like Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. They are already gearing up and waiting for the projects to just kick off.
Right.
and ensuring that even after the 3-year period, they will be sustained. Because the role of fisheries, I keep on saying, is, and my brother has said it so well, is so pivotal that you have all the interest group really happy and excited about the project. However, the balance has to be maintained. The balance to ensure that you don't have one interest group overriding the other. And so this has been considered in crafting the activities per country to ensure that there's sustainability in all the 7 countries that have been selected.
Right. You mentioned the role of the media, and you cited Mauritania as a very clear and good example of what the role the media is playing in terms of, this whole arrangement and all that. I just want to find out from you, in Ghana, how are we faring?
Yes, so in Ghana...
With respect to the media...
And this is from Semlaws Africa. In Ghana, we realize we have very few specialized maritime reporters.
Yes.
So it means that the workshops and the training that we are hoping to start off when it comes to media training will be targeted at what are the things that you should be looking out for when it comes to distant water, fishing vessels and activities.
Right.
And so some media will be selected and they would be kept as a trajectory to follow when it comes to reporting and covering issues and making them available so that they can inform the policymaker.
Right.
Yes, so media engagement is very key when it comes to Objective 1, and we are hoping to start off in this month in the coming month of March.
I agree with you. When I in 2017, when I won the Reporter of the Year, the Ghana Shippers Awards, I was the maiden edition, and I was interviewed by the media. That was what I said. I said we need a lot more people to report in the maritime industry. It's a specialized area, and we need people to specialize so that we can because this is a very vast industry, and we have limited reporters in it, which is not good for us as a country. And I think that particular clip is still on YouTube. I mean, people can go there and then look at it. You mentioned, okay, let me come to, I'll come to you, Doc, again. But
I would like to touch on the FITI.
Okay,
because
sure, please do,
I've been one of the advocates on FITI, and I have a colleague, I want to mention his name, Nobuwaja. We started this FITI. I think that if FITI could run through all the countries, because you are talking about media need information. So if information is not there, how can the media report? And then we need to also look at the balancing. The industry players, how willing are they to open themselves up for the media to interrogate what is happening? Even though we are commercial fishers, it's business and everybody has his trade secrets, you have confidentiality clauses in your agreement that you cannot disclose certain information. But under FITI, where countries have signed on, the president has signed on, and it is accepted, you are obliged by law to open up your books.
Right.
You are obliged by law, although we have the Right to Information Act, but FITI will also add on that let me backtrack a little and talk about EITI, Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative.
Yes.
It started like this, where countries sign on and then they embrace it. And Ghana is reporting on the extractive industry, hydrocarbons, solid mineral. We do reporting. The revenue we are getting, the companies are reporting. So if we sign on to the FITI or the FITI, companies, fishing companies or companies within the industry are obliged by law to report.
Right.
That is revenue reporting, so that we know what is there.
Right.
You see, the fishing industry has been neglected because sometimes you don't know what the fishing industry is bringing.
Yeah.
We are not able to quantify. Unlike hydrocarbon, once you take out 120,000 barrels, you go to the market, you are able to determine the price, then you know how much you are getting. But fishing is not like that. It's difficult to do the estimation. But when you look at the fishing industry, the kind of employment that it gives ready jobs. Government do not have to spend so much to create jobs. The ocean is there. Once the fish is there and it's in abundance, and you have the capacity, and you are meeting all the requirements, you are allowed to go and fish, and you are providing. It is not just the fishes. You are looking at the value chain. So there's a social accounting to the industry that nobody is looking at. That is the employment aspect. Can you imagine if all these people are not working? Do you know the pressure that it will bring on the economy? Apart from food security, we will have a lot of social vices because these people will be there without doing anything. In fact, it happened in our sector. Right after the close season, there were other measures. The gear directives, there were other measures from GME about the conditions of the vessel. Right. And for about 8 months, we were not working. It is not that the regulator said don't work, but the regulator is saying that meet these standards. And all of us who were not working, our people were just there. The impact, when you get to the harbor, you will see revenue was being lost. Right. Anytime a vessel berth, we give money to GPHA. These vessels were not working. So GPHA was losing a lot of revenue. So we need to take it serious. And I want to quote Professor Smiler again. Put money where your mouth is. So if we are serious as a people, and we consider the marine environment as a serious place, the fish as something. You see, we need to understand that unlike hydrocarbons or solid mineral, which are finite, it will get finished because they have their expiring date. Fisheries is not like that. Once you do it in a sustainable manner, the fish will remain, and it has remained. Even though population has increased, but fish is still there, except to say we have used certain illegal methods that we have depleted the stock. But once we understand how the fish or the sector operates and we reverse it, we will have it in a sustainable, and it can create ready employment for our people. So we don't have to struggle. So we need to understand how these things work. And I want to plead with you that if you can make it one of your core, if you like, goal, where Fiji, all these countries that are doing it can emulate what is happening in Mauritania, it will help all of us. Because there will be transparency, and it will take away this negative publication, dispel this negative notion, somebody is doing something untoward, somebody is fronting. It will take away all these things, and we can all go around our business in a very transparent manner. And that is what I think we need, so that people can sleep. Not that you are working and people are looking at you as if you are a criminal because somebody has gone somewhere to make those publications. And in fact, if you look at the hardest hit sector, it has always been the trawlers. And I think that it has never been fair. It has never been fair. And sometimes when I look at my directors of the company, I look at their face, they go to meeting, they are not happy because they are not criminals. But people publish it to make it look like they are. If I take the law and I tell you the things they have to go through to procure licenses to work, it is cumbersome. And they don't do anything illegal. But somebody will just take a pen and paper, research, and then publish anything. We are business people. We don't do much advocacy. But I think that maybe from this time going, we have to also tell our own story for people to know what we go through, because employers also go through a lot of things.
I agree. All right, so that is Mr. Gilbert Sam. He is the office manager the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association. Also in the studios is Dr. Rebecca Shewa Esamwa, who is a senior research officer at the Center for Maritime Law and Security, CEMLOS Africa. And tonight we are discussing how to promote local capacity to mitigate the impact of foreign fishing vessels in the Gulf of Guinea. That's the topic we are discussing. We're going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue the discussion. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water. Or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. Let me go straight to Dr. Esamwa and find out from you the incidence of IUU, that's illegal, unregulated, unreported fishing, how rampant it is at the moment, and the contribution of foreign fishing vessels to this particular phenomenon.
Thank you very much, Kennedy. Yes. And just to pick up from the last comment that Gilbert made, it's interesting to note that on the back of the Vibrant Oceans Initiative projects, the Fisheries Transparency Initiative have begun an online, for the past 5 months or so, have begun an online stock-taking assessment.
Okay.
And this initial attempt by the FITI is to find out how we meet the standard, the criteria to join the FITI. And so that's the initial stages of helping a country come on board the FITI. So Semlaws Africa is coordinating with FITI to start the process. Of course, government through the ministry has been informed about this, and the reports that we are looking forward to would be released towards the end of April this year. And so that's very exciting, and we know that it may not be welcoming, particularly when you think about data or information that may exist, but then it's not made publicly accessible. And so that would begin the process to make information accessible to all the stakeholders that should have access to information. Of course, the criteria are many more than just information, access to information, but certainly it's the right step when it comes to helping improve transparency in our management of the fishery sector. Yes.
Okay.
And coming to your question, we realize that, for instance, when you look at the arrangements that we have, we sometimes would sign on to conventions, we'll sign on to some of the declarations and agreements, but then when it comes to making it practical, it becomes a huge problem. And so we have so many documents that enjoins us to do the right thing. But then there is a loss. And so this particular project is seeking also to align with everything that we have ratified. Yaoundé architecture, for instance, we're supposed to be part of that. And the IUU fishing is still very rampant because there's an estimated about 790,000 tons of fish that is lost through IUU. That's very irresponsible. This accounts for about $2 billion USD. And so if you look at the scale at which we are losing out on revenue, losing out on food when we have issues about food security, losing out on the economic gains that we should be having. It really is a problem when you look at IUU fishing. And this has been attributed to the activities of distant water, foreign distant water fishing vessels.
This 790,000, is this on an annual basis, or how long does this one? Annual basis. And we lose $2 billion USD.
$2 billion USD.
Dollars. Wow.
That's an estimated figure.
Wow. That's quite terrible, isn't it?
On the
I've been asked to, I'll come to you. I've been asked to activate the phone lines for you to call in, and the number to dial is right on your screen, 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Shortly, we shall be entering the mailbox to come your way with the messages that have come through from you, and so please do stay and don't move. Yes, you wanted to add something to
on the IUU, I would say industrial trawlers are not guilty-free. For some time back, we used to do what we call transshipment from industrial trawl vessels to canoes at sea. And I think we realized that it was not helping the fisheries. Because under that arrangement, some juveniles were being caught, and it has impact on recruitment back into the stock and all those things. I think the leadership of the association took a bold steps to even issue out a communique saying that we have stopped, and anybody or any member of the association that is found doing that, you do it at your own risk. And the Honorable Minister was very happy when that, if you like, announcement was made, and she has enforced it. And I can tell you to date, we don't have what we call the transshipment of fish at sea from industrial trawl vessel to canoes. This is the kind of thing we are trying to do as fishers.
Right.
We want to be responsible because we reckon that the industry is our livelihood. So if we destroy it, we are just destroying our livelihood and that of our children. So we are stopped. What is called the cycle. Psycho fishing. I recall they used to call me Sam Psycho. People thought I was promoting psycho fishing.
What's psycho fishing though?
Psycho fishing, in summary, is where you transship a fish from industrial vessel to a canoe and then at sea, and then it's brought on shore and sold. And such, when you look at that process, you also enter into unreported because these fish are not accounted for. But
so
once
they're not captured in the data.
Yes, once you land all fish at the port, records are taken, they are accounted for, and we know how our fisheries are performing.
Right.
So once you use these illegal means to land fish, it's not accounted for, and people were benefiting. It is not just but let me also use this opportunity to say that transshipment itself, it is not illegal if you look at the fisheries law. But it has detailed how it should be done. Before you do transshipment at sea, you have to apply, then get authorization, and then it is done by an officer. So it is supervised transshipment.
Right.
But when you don't go through all these processes, then it becomes illegal, which is against the law. And the fines are very heavy.
Right.
And so I think when that decision was made, we have respected it. And I think it's a plus. We realized that we're doing bad things, we stopped. And I want to say that we are more willing to stop some of this negative thing in the interest of making sure that the industry is sustainable.
Right. Let me come to Dr. Isamoah and find out from you how distant fishing vessels are contributing or weakening food security in the Gulf of Guinea area.
Thank you very much, Ken. And so it's for the catches that they get, they are not prohibited from exporting.
Right.
But then if you look at the fact that these are exported only for us to have short supply on a local scale and end up buying with the hard-earned currency again to meet demand, that in itself doesn't sit right. So there's a need to have some control measures. How much is therefore going to be exported, depending on the country's needs, demand,
right?
So that we can meet the demands of the local population. And the other factor is that he's already mentioned the inadequate controls. How much is being taken? So if that is not, that gap is not filled, we really have a problem right from the get-go, how reliable our data even is in helping to manage the fisheries. Yes.
I think I want to add something.
Yes.
The decision to allow foreign vessels to come into your EEZ to fish is a country decision. Because the country licensed them, and it's, in fact, the Fisheries Act attests to that under what they call access fishing. They license them to come in to do that fishing. So if the country decides that, look, I'm not going to do access fishing, then they are not supposed to be here in the first place. And once you license somebody to do something, it means that you should have capacity to monitor what the person is doing. But you license somebody to come and operate here, and you don't have capacity to monitor what the person is doing. So what are you doing to your own self?
Yes.
In the case of industrial trawl fishing, like I said, there is some kind of capacity. You have placed on board observer, you have placed on board VMS, you want to put CCTV camera on board. it happens in the tuna sector. Okay. And let me just say, and that is the position of the law. I recall that when we were making the case about our licensing fee, we try to decouple a vessel that is being flagged by the state flag.
Yes.
And a vessel that is fishing, a foreign vessel that is fishing under asset, they are not under any obligation to bring the catch to the state.
Right.
They fish, the fish that they harvest are counted to their nation state, not where they are fished, because they have paid for. But in our case, it is not like that. All catches for the local industrial, semi-industrial, all catches are supposed to be landed at port, and they are counted against Ghana. So if you take the trout sector, all our fish are eaten by Ghanaians.
Right.
We are direct beneficiary owners of the fish. But the foreign vessel, they come, I think they have some percentage. It's less, it's not more than 10%.
Right.
That is what they are supposed to give to you. And that's all. The 90, they take it away.
Okay.
So it is the decision of the countries to decide that, okay, these are my stock level. So instead of allowing 10 foreign vessels or 20 foreign vessels to come in, I will just allow maybe 10 or 5, and the rest for my people.
Right.
But if you allow 100 to come in to do assets for foreign vessels to do assets, because you want money without recourse to what you have, and you don't even have a fish research vessel to do proper estimation to know how much you have in the sea.
I know how
so these are
serious you are, how serious
no,
you are
because I'm
about this fishing research vessel, and I hope that the powers that be are listening.
So if you don't have all this thing and you are just allowing people to come because you just want to take the money, then the decision is yours.
Yes, good. I know you are very passionate about this thing. That's quite clear. This one is from Rickstar Niama Matthew. He's watching us on Facebook Live. He says he's the secretary of the Ghana Fisheries Association of Ghana.
Exactly.
Yes. He says, Ken, please note that when a foreign flag vessel fishes beyond the 200 nautical miles and not in another country's exclusive economic zone, then it is in an area beyond national jurisdiction, as the name implies. Ghana has no jurisdiction over the vessel and the activities in the area.
Exactly.
And this one says, he's also watching live from on Facebook. He says, the panelists came very prepared. Good work. It's from Barnabas Oshri-Kilson. And, okay. Doc himself, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, the boss at Semlos, is also watching us live on Facebook. He says, Ken, you asked of the difference between EEZ, that's exclusive economic zone, and inshore economic zone. And he says, inshore economic zone, inshore exclusive zone is a fisheries management zone, and that's the area reserved for artisanal fisheries, 6 nautical miles from the shore or up to the 30-meter depth. An exclusive economic zone, he says, is, on the other hand, it's a maritime zone. It's the area beyond the territorial sea and up to 200 nautical miles.
Exactly.
So that's the difference he's sent to us. Okay, this one says, my name is Ben from Tema. Can Mr. Sam help differentiate between foreign fishing vessels and the type his members or his outfit operates? And my thoughts were that foreign fishing vessels are those that make up the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association. Kindly enlighten me. So I would allow you to do that in just 1 minute. And this one says, my name is Penny. Is Mr. Sam saying that regulators should relax on enforcement just so fishers can remain employed? Over to you. Just 1 minute and then
I don't think I will support anything that the regulators should relax. I think they should do their work.
Right.
Fishers have to fish responsibly. I did mention that our vessels, when you look at the origin of the vessel, they are all from China.
China, okay.
So when people see their vessel, they say Chinese vessels. But when you take the
all your vessels, are they Ghana flagged?
Yes,
All of your
that
vessels,
that is the difference.
Okay.
All our vessels are registered
Ghanaian flag,
here,
okay.
and they are flagged by, they have Ghana flag.
Mm.
So that's the difference between a foreign fishing vessel
Yes.
and a local semi-industrial fishing vessel. They are flagged by, they are Ghana flag, and they are operated by Ghanaian companies.
Yes.
And all their catches are counted to the state.
Yes.
So the resources belong to Ghana. That is the difference. With the foreign fishing vessel, they take the resource and then they take it and count it to their countries.
Yes.
So that's the difference. And we need to understand. But of course, when the vessels are at port and they see the Chinese inscription and they say, oh, Chinese, Chinese, Chinese. But that's not the case. In reality and in the law, that is how it is.
Okay. We don't have enough time. Let me come to Doc and wrap up with you. I just want to find out from you, premised on your earlier submission about the involvement of the media towards the success of this particular project. I want to find out from you whether you are taking steps to engender their interest, to get them involved, to rope them in, so that we can realize the success that we are seeking to achieve.
Thank you very much, Ken. So, yes, we've already started that across all 7 countries,
right.
Identifying either environmental journalists or media people, and those specialized in the maritime. And definitely those that have the interest to report on maritime issues when it comes to distant water fishing vessel activities. And so certainly we are roping them in because they are the bridge to get information across. Yes, so we have that as part of our activities in all the 7 countries.
Well, time is an enemy. Fly so, fast when you are in the company of good people and having a good discussion. So it's time we wrap up. We've exhausted our time, so I'd like to say a very big thank you to Dr. Rebecca Chiriwai Samoa, who is a Senior Research Officer at the Center for Maritime Law and Security, SEMLOS Africa, who joined us in the studios tonight. And also say a big thanks to Mr. Gilbert Sam, who is the Office Manager at the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association, who also joined us. A very beautiful discussion, brilliant submissions there, very lucid indeed. Thank you so much for coming, and we know that whenever we call on you, you'd always oblige us. We say maximum thanks to our sponsors, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and indeed Meridian Port Services, MPS. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The abridged version of Iron Port is aired every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television GTV. Make a date and watch that one. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, we shall bounce back next week with another wonderful edition of Iron Port. Good evening and have a super week ahead.